to another ESPN Honolulu Fan Friday Talk Story. And today I'm going to have a great time talking story, one of the players on the men's basketball team. And everyone's so excited for the season this year, partly because, well, this last season you had no fans, so we get to watch him this season. But Noel Coleman is joining us here on the Fan Friday Talk Story. So first of all, Noel, thanks for taking the time for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, at the time of this recording, it's interesting because actually the men's basketball program is kind of on a halt right now. So as a player, when you're halting, so there's absolutely nothing, no weights, nothing going on?
No, for the first couple of days, it's just, waiting, being in quarantine, figuring out the next steps that we have to take. And then testing, of course, is one of the first steps we have to go through. And then we kind of see who's positive, who's negative. You're just hoping for the best for everybody on the team. But then when we figure out who's positive, who's negative, we can figure out a game plan on how to, keep the program active with those guys that are negative, and then figure out next steps for those guys who are positive, figure out housing situations, all that.
I don't know. On the outside looking in, I look at having to go through this kind of pause or this kind of disruption as really frustrating. You're in there as part of the team. Is it frustrating for you?
Yeah, of course, because, going through a year like last year, where it wasn't certain if you were going to play. And, thinking that this year would be, a little more like normal, having like a stop like this is kind of frustrating because you'd expect to be past that right now. But having the COVID cases coming back is kind of annoying.
I can imagine. You had to, you couldn't play the last game of the Diamond Head Classic. And, I know how it is with players. It's one thing to miss practice. It's kind of like, ooh, right on. But to miss games, that's kind of tough. So let's put that on the side a little bit because that's a little bit frustrating. You're, one of the many foreign players on this men's basketball team. You're born in, let me see if I get this correct, Leopoldsburg, Belgium. Did I say that correct?
Right, yeah.
Okay, help me out here because my geography of Europe is pretty junk. But where is Belgium on the map related to other countries?
If you know where France is,
yes,
and Germany,
uh-huh,
it's literally a small country on the coastline right in between those two. And you have Netherlands next to it as well. So it's connected to France, Germany, and the Netherlands.
Oh, okay. And how long were you there? Because you have, you're born in Leopoldsburg, then you prepped in, is it Wichita, Kansas?
Yeah, right.
Right. Then you went to college initially to University of San Diego, and then here. So that's an interesting little path there. How long were you in Leopoldsburg?
Well, I was born and raised there from my birth until 17. And really when I was 12, 13, I started going to a boarding school that was more focused on sports. And there was only like 2 of those in the country. So it was a pretty good accomplishment at the time. And there I just basically developed my basketball skills good enough where I played for the under 16 national team. And there I kind of got the exposure to play in high school in America, which was always a dream of mine to play on a level like that. And so I got the opportunity to play for Luke Barnwell at Sunrise for 2 years. And there, after that, I went to San Diego, of course. And then now this is my second year here in Hawaii.
One of your teammates, Mate Cholina, he also mentioned, we had him on Fan Friday, and he mentioned about having, when he was young, I think he was maybe 14 or 15, he went to kind of like a boarding school, prep school for basketball, development, similarly. So he was away from his family. You said you did that when you were 12. So that must have been pretty 13, scary, huh?
Yeah, it was definitely different because, you'd be there in a boarding school sleeping through the week, and then you'd go home on Friday and go back on Sunday evening. So it worked on my mental pretty much. It made me stronger though, but it was pretty tough at the time, for sure.
Obviously, it helped you because you went. It's funny, right? A lot of people think about when people live, like when they graduate high school and they go away for college, that's kind of their first time away from home. You have experienced that from the age of 12, 13, being away from home, living kind of on your own, so to speak. Then you go to a totally different country to go to for high school. Excuse me, for high school play, right? So,
Right.
and Wichita, Kansas. What was that like when you first got there?
It wasn't surprisingly, it wasn't that much different from back home because where I grew up back home was, more like the farm side. I a lot of countryside, country there. So being in Wichita and seeing all that was pretty similar, but at the same time, it's all just a bigger place. It was just much bigger than Belgium. So that was the biggest difference for me.
Yeah, that's a lot of farmland in Wichita. I've never been there. I just heard about it. So now you
Yeah.
go from Wichita and you go for college. Your first, you initially go to University of San Diego. So that's more of an urban, nice, coastal town in Southern California. Um, and then you come to Hawaii after that. I want to ask you, what were the best things about each of those stops that you went to? So Leopoldsburg, then Wichita, Kansas, then San Diego, then Hawaii. Best things about each spot.
Starting with Leopoldsburg, I'd say probably because it's such a small village. It's like 15,000 people there, so it's pretty calm. And growing up with my best friend being, having a farm, it was just a whole different vibe, and I kind of liked it. And then Wichita, Kansas was then, kind of similar, but we had a little bit of a college feeling because it was like a little private school that had like its own campus.
Mm.
So it was like you kind of get to know like how college would be. So that was kind of fun. And then for San Diego, it was just, being a nice city. It was pretty nice. I like San Diego. The city, it was a whole different vibe than I was used to. So it was pretty fun for me to be there. And then Hawaii was, another vibe. It had another vibe to it, like more like, it was paradise type stuff. So it was definitely different.
What was the main thing that kind of leaned you toward and eventually choosing to go to San Diego initially out of high school?
I had a really good connection with the coach, the assistant coach there, Chris Garrison, that recruited me there. We were pretty close. So, and he'd been recruiting me from when I was in Belgium still. So, um, I think that kind of convinced me, and it's a good program and in a great conference. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, just kind of worked out for me at the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that kind of made me decide to go there.
And then you decided, well, I want to change, and you wanted to transfer out. So what kind of geared you toward Hawaii? And also, what were some other schools that you were looking at before you decided to pick Hawaii?
Um, I was looking at, I wasn't looking at too many schools because I already knew what I wanted when I transferred, and Hawaii fit like the picture that I had for myself in my college career. So, having Coach Chris leave for Hawaii as well,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of like pushed me more to the decision to come here. But also just the program and the family feeling here, how close everybody is, like the fence and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of made the decision for me easier.
Noel Coleman, our guest here on Fan Friday Talk Story. We hear about this on college athletics, either in the recruiting part, or especially now when you have, student athletes, able to transfer so much easier. And the relationship that a player has with a coach, usually one of the assistants, and you're just talking about it now with Chris Gerlison, who unfortunately has, left Hawaii, but and that was kind of part of the decision to lead you not only to go to San Diego, but then to transfer to the University of Hawaii. How important was that to you, that relationship through all of that, from recruitment to school A and then to school B?
Right, man. I think a relationship between the player and the coach is very crucial and very important because at the end of the day, you're at a place that you might not be familiar to, and it's one thing to work your way into a school, but it's another thing to stay at the school and have a good relationship with the coaching staff. it makes it just more, relaxing, more fun to be around. And if you don't have that relationship, it gets kind of tough through the year.
A lot of folks, who have never been to Hawaii, particularly if they're either coming to school, they're going to move here, or they got a job here, no matter what age, there's always this kind of like, oh, Hawaii, when I get there, I want to do this. Was there something like for you, like, oh, when I get to Hawaii, I've heard or I read about this, I want to try to do that? Something like that for you?
Yeah, I remember the first week of the first summer that I got here, after I got out of quarantine, the first thing I did was jog to the beach for sunset. I just wanted to see the sunset here because I heard it was nice. So, but after that day, I haven't been to the beach that much. So, I just
Really?
wanted to see the sunset. Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Wait, no, you said you had to quarantine. Was that because of the COVID kind of protocols?
Yeah, yeah, that was COVID protocols because it was the summer right after the big quarantine that everybody had to go through when COVID first hit.
Hmm.
So Hawaii was still very strict. You had to quarantine for what was it, 10 days I think, or something like that, or 7 days. And so yeah, when we first got there, everybody had to quarantine for a week or so.
So really, the first impression of coming to Hawaii kind of sucked because you had to stay in a room for 7 days. If you
Yeah,
think
I
about it,
know.
right?
It wasn't that much fun, but
Oh, that's so
I had
interesting.
to
You
be done.
jog to the beach to see the sunset. That is terrific. Um, w- have you had the chance now that you've been out and about, you've gotten used to being here, so forth and so on. What has been kind of maybe a little bit of a surprise to being in Honolulu, either at the University of Hawaii or just being in Honolulu in general? Like, wow, I didn't expect that.
I didn't At first I didn't know it rained this much here, but then you got to think like it's tropical weather, so like it's kind of normal. And definitely, the last heavy rain that we had was definitely new to me. I didn't even. I'm from Belgium. I have rain a lot there, so I didn't really. It was still pretty wild.
Yeah, that's gonna be my next question. So in Belgium, like I'm so naive to Europe, so I apologize. I'm going to ask you these questions. You're thinking like, oh boy, I've been asked all this so many times. So does it snow? Like you said, it rains a lot. What's kind of the dynamics in terms of weather in your hometown?
Definitely a lot of rain. You never know when it's gonna rain. Like it could be sunny and no clouds for an hour, and then the next hour it's pouring down. But on a normal basis, I think rain is probably the most happening in Belgium, and then snow is around Christmas time most years. Not every
Mhm.
year though.
Oh, okay. And here's another lame question I'm going to ask you. I mean, I can hear a slight accent. I mean, real slight, but basically, if I wouldn't have known you're from another country, born and raised in another country. So is English a common form, or is there another language? And is your accent kind of typical?
Nah, I wouldn't say my accent is typical because Dutch and English is a complete different language. But my dad is from Nigeria, so when I was little, he used to speak English always to me, and I'd answer either in English or Dutch. So
Oh.
I kind of grew up knowing English, but I didn't speak it every day.
Hmm.
But then I also watched all my movies always in English, so I never watched movies in Dutch. So
Wow. So you're bilingual then?
yeah,
Wow, that is has the knowledge of Dutch helped you either in San Diego, either in Wichita, San Diego, or here at all?
I would say no, kind of because when I went home last time, it's been like 2 years since I went home. So
Oh.
I, it was kind of hard speaking Dutch for me, to be honest, with my parents and stuff, with my
Oh.
mom, because I kept forgetting words and stuff. It was
Have your parents had a chance to come here yet? I know it's kind of hard to travel at this point.
no, they want to at least come for my graduation next year for
Hmm.
sure. But everything with COVID and stuff, it's just really hard to work out when they will be able to.
By the way, so what's your major and what's your plans, at least at this point, after graduation?
Well, my major, I just changed it to entrepreneurship. It used to be marketing, but yeah,
Mhm.
think I'll benefit more from having entrepreneurship. And then my plans are, obviously play professional for a good amount of years after college, and hopefully go into real estate after that.
Ooh, real estate. All right. I
Yeah.
mean, that's that you can make some good money on that one.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
What's been the toughest basketball wise? What's been the toughest transition coming here?
Coming to Hawaii or
Yeah,
America?
to Hawaii specifically.
Okay. I didn't play that much my freshman year of college, so definitely jumping into, from like 9 minutes into 20 minutes a game was a big difference. And I think just getting comfortable with the system, getting comfortable with college basketball was the biggest challenge for me that
Hmm.
I had to go through.
Like maybe for you because you actually, like even back in your hometown, you're kind of in a school that was kind of developing your skills basketball wise. So you were kind of working and kind of training even from a young age. But I always thought, man, the amount of time that student athletes, college student athletes spend throughout an entire year, not just in the season, but the off-season training. It's kind of a grind. I mean, do you find that sometimes it's kind of a grind? Either you got early morning weights, you got conditioning, you got the basketball stuff, and then it just keeps going and going and going.
No, yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people um, get mistaken for it. They think it's easy, and they think we're blessed, which we are. We get a full scholarship, of course, but it's a lot of sacrifices that come with it, and definitely, being international, having not having the opportunity to see my family that much, and then having to work out every day, play games, have schoolwork, and it all adds up. So I think it's definitely a blessing. Don't get me wrong, but it's also a big sacrifice and a lot of sacrifices that have to be made.
Most definitely. Now you play the position of the point guard, right? So what would you say are the key here, young high school kids watching this thing and they want to know, I want to become a point guard to play college basketball. What are the key things to become a good point guard on this level?
I didn't always play point guard. I played mostly two guard in Belgium. I grew up playing, you know, point guard and two guard. And then here now I'm playing two guard more than point guard. But my freshman year, I was mostly the point guard. And so I think the three most important things that you have to have is leadership for sure. Ball handling. Yeah, you got to be good with the ball, and you have to have vision. You have to have good passing, and being able to put players on their place and stuff. So I think there goes a lot into being a point guard. That's important, because you're the head of the snake. So I think it's just the whole package that you have to have. Ball handling, vision, leadership, all of that.
What's interesting about this team this year is, there's like half the team is, international players like yourselves. You got Mate, you got Jerome DeRosier, although some people say, well, he's from Canada, but that's maybe not as international. So a lot
Right.
of different players with different backgrounds, obviously different personalities. Which one of your teammates is kind of like the biggest goofball?
Wow, the biggest goofball of anybody or just international?
Of the entire team, who would be you would say is the biggest goofball on the team?
I would definitely say Zorned. I think it's just the way he goes about things. It's just goofy. So,
Who's the intellectual?
definitely Jerome. Came from the Ivy League, so he's probably the most intellectual of all.
Oh, does he flaunt that, by the way?
No, he's
Does he walk into the gym like, excuse me, if you need help with your assignments, you can come see me, kind of thing?
no, he's pretty humble. He's definitely humble, but you can tell he's smart. So
Who's the sloppiest? I always found out there are athletes who, appearance, they're organized, how they look, the shoes got to look good, the hair got to look good. Who is the sloppiest who could care less about all of that on the team? Is there someone?
I think everybody cares. Dresses well most of the time.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I don't think I can pick anyone. I don't want no problems off the court, but
Or is there anyone at the top like that is, appearance and everything is the ultimate thing for them?
yeah, yeah. And he's the most quiet on the team too, beyond Riley. But
Oh,
you can tell he always has new fits coming in the locker room. He takes care of himself.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I always play this little game with our guests here on Fan Friday Talk Story. It's called a fast break. I use terms for your respective sport. Basically, I give you these quick questions, and I wanted you to give me an answer right off the top of your head. Okay?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
nothing high tech, very, very simple stuff. All right. So you ready to play
Sounds good.
fast break?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. All right, Noel. Food item you could eat for 5 days straight.
Pasta.
Any specific pasta?
Any pasta.
Ooh, all right.
I love pasta.
Superhero talent or skill you wish you had.
Fly.
Favorite movie?
That's a hard one.
You can
I
only
Am
say
Legend.
two if you want.
Yeah, I Am Legend and Grown Ups for sure.
Oh, okay. All right. A TV series that you either have binge watch or would like to binge watch.
Game of Thrones. I have already, but I would love to do that again.
You do that again. All right.
Yeah.
Basketball skill that you are the weakest at.
My floater. My right hand floater, probably.
Oh, wait, you're left-handed, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Basketball skill that you feel that is the strongest for you.
My 3-point shot.
What is, if money was of no object, what would be your ride?
Rolls Royce SUV, probably.
Any specific color?
All black.
All black. Yeah. All right. Again, if you could have an endorsement with a product, and of course we're in the era of name, image, and likeness, what product would you wish you could be connected with? Or brand?
Brand, I'd probably say Nike.
Okay.
Or any like Nike, Adidas, or Under Armour. Any of those three.
Ah, all right. Okay. No sports drink? Some people like the sports drink stuff.
If I had a sports drink, it'd be Under Armour, Body Armor.
Body Armor. Ooh, wouldn't it be cool if you had Body Armor and Under Armour? That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
Okay. If a movie was made about your life, who would be the actor you'd want to play you?
I'd probably say Jaden Smith.
Oh, okay. Jaden Smith. All right. Because he looks like you, or you just like his
kind
style?
of like. No, I think kind of, yeah, a little bit. When he was little, at least.
Yeah, right. Favorite sports movie?
Ali.
Ooh, the Will Smith version, right?
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay, a couple more here. Android or iPhone?
iPhone.
Social media platform you use the most?
Instagram.
Okay, and the final question is, what is the phrase or word that Coach Aron Ganat says all the time?
Be tough.
Be tough.
Yeah.
Okay, I lied. Last question. I asked this of another player I'm not going to mention, one of your teammates. If you had a little scrimmage on your own, inter-squad scrimmage, where you put all the international players on one team and all the American players on one team, right? So scrimmage, who do you think would win?
International players.
You know what? I asked an international player that, and he said it without hesitation.
Yeah.
I kind of think you guys would be pretty dominant too.
Yeah.
Hey, Noel, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be a part of Fan Friday Talk Story. I hope this little break kind of finishes up and we can get back to some action, and good luck in the Big West Conference and the rest of the season.
Thank you for having me, Dave. Appreciate it.